With the slave cylinder removed, undo the 2 bolts covering the blanking plug on the left-hand side of the bell housing. Place a pick inside the bell housing and pull the R-clip out from the top of the cross shaft. With a flathead screwdriver, pry the cross shaft down so it drops into the bell housing. Clean the inside of the bell housing of any old clutch dust and grease. Using a high temperature bearing grease, lubricate all points of constant contact on the clutch fork. This includes the pivot points, cross shaft, push rod fork, sides of the fork and inside of the release bearing. On the transmission, lubricate the nose cone and spline. Slide the friction disc over the spline in multiple orientations before wiping off any excess build-up on the end of the hub. Ensure that the fork is installed in the correct direction. The rounded pivot points between the fork and release bearing must be facing towards the transmission in the orientation shown. Place the fork and bearing onto the transmission and slide the cross shaft in from the bottom. Finally, place the washer and R-clip onto the cross shaft and check for a smooth operation. With the clutch and transmission carefully mounted on the engine, the release bearing will need to be clipped into the diaphragm. From outside the bell housing, push the fork towards the back of the vehicle. The bearing should neatly clip into the diaphragm. Check that the bearing is clipped in securely by mounting the slave cylinder and operating the pedal. Check for full disengagement before assembling the remainder of the vehicle.